Hello and welcome to Week 8 in Introduction to Psychology, and I think I can recall this. We're talking about memory this week. Awesome. Great topic. Very interesting because it's one of those areas in psychology we're still struggling with. The model that I described in the lecture and in the course book is from the information processing theories within psychology. And the information processing theories, interesting in and of themselves, are based on the notion that if we understand how computers work, we can sort of reverse engineer to how maybe our own memory works. The assumption is that we would intuitively create objects that reflect who we are, created in our own image, let's say. All kinds of philosophical ramifications within that theory. It's a very interesting perception of the world, a lens to put on to understand things from the information processing model. Nonetheless, we have this mysterious thing, very important in our lives, called memory, and that's what we'll be talking about this week. Now, the process of memory is largely constructive. And what that means is we engage in a process of creating new schemas, assimilation, and then when new information comes in, it might modify existing schemas, and we call that accommodation. So we're continually creating new schemas, and as we get information, we are continually accommodating those schemas in the process of accommodation. We're changing those schemas. So that process of assimilation and accommodation, we bring in information and later on we change it because of new information. I'm asking you to kind of think about an example of that where you learn something, there's tons of them. You learn something sort of basic and then later on you learned it in more detail. So you actually had the opportunity to create the schema, and then that would be the assimilation. And then when new information came along, you accommodated or you changed that existing schema to match the new information. And that is essentially how we build up our entire knowledge base, largely based on memories. In the quiz, we're simply looking at matching anatomy within the brain of parts of the brain that are involved in memory, straightforward. In the assignment, I'm actually having you look at a video on the essential 6 habits of successful students and looking at each one of those habits and providing a plan by which you will improve your own learning strategies using those and other tools. This is an opportunity for psychology to kick in and say, with all the things that psychology has studied, we have certainly studied learning. And the acronym ANSWER, which is the words align with those 6 skills and habits that you want to create. And then in addition to that, lifestyle habits like getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising, recreation, rest, all those kinds of things that are important too. I want you to write up sort of a plan based on all that, how you're going to improve your current learning strategies. I want you to include your current ones, particularly if they're successful, and then how you might modify those based on this new information. So you're actually, some of you may be looking at learning strategies as a schema, and this new information is coming in to modify your current schema of learning to add those pieces to it. At the same time, while this chapter is going on, just a reminder that the information literacy project proposal is still live. I'm grading those as they come in. Make sure that you get those done. There is a survey that I placed in the course about if you're interested in taking sociology or developmental psych next semester in the same format. And at this time of the year, KVCC is getting ready to give out midterm grades. Now, what I do is I grade everything up to the particular date, and then I calculate a midterm grade based on that. It is just How are you doing up until now? It does not necessarily sentence you to anything. There's lots of big assignments coming up. There's lots of the rest of the course. These are not, you're not trapped with that. It's just simply a way for us to communicate, to say, are you doing okay? Or, maybe you have to change your habits a little bit. Hence, that's why it's a good time to talk about this particular topic. One of the features of that particular midterm grade, however, is going to be heavily weighted on whether or not you have begun the process of submitting your information literacy project proposal. You don't have to have finished it. That's a process that we're all going through. You do have to have begun it. So as long as you've begun it, that's going to weigh heavy in terms of the midterm grade. Meaning, if you've done really well, everything up until now, but you haven't started that process, you might end up getting an academic warning, because I want people to have started that by now. So again, when that's all done, those grades go away. If you do get an academic warning, the purpose of that is for you to reach out to me and let's have a conversation. What do you need to do? How can you get it done? Help you make the decisions that are best for you. So, kind of important week for that. We're talking about learning, talking about where you are in the class, talking about reaching out to me and making that connection if you have to. So, looking forward to those conversations and the discussions. Have a great week, and I will see you online.